My name is Jess, and welcome to the Storyteller Fox. Come along and listen to read aloud books, be it for bedtime, story time, or simply to read along.
Hello and welcome to the Storyteller channel. In today's story time, I will be reading you a book called Who's Bad and Who's Good? Little Red Riding Hood. It's a story about stranger danger. Who's Bad and Who's Good? Little Red Riding Hood. Written by Steve Smallman and illustrated by Neil Price. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Little Red Riding Hood. It wasn't her real name, it was just what everyone called her because she was little and always wore a red cloak with a hood. One day, her mum asked her to take some cupcakes and soup to her grandma, who lived in the woods. "Stick to the path and don't talk to strangers," said her mum. "And if you do meet a stranger, yell, run, and tell." "Who should I tell?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "Someone you know, or a policeman, or a person in a shop," replied her mum. On the way to Grandma's house, Little Red Riding Hood heard someone coughing behind a tree. It was a wolf. "Hello, what are you doing out here all by yourself?" he croaked. "A stranger," gasped Little Red Riding Hood. "I'm going to my grandma's house, so leave me alone," she yelled. She ran and ran until she met a rabbit. "Oh, hello. What's wrong?" asked Rabbit. A rabbit. "Oh, hello. What's wrong?" asked the rabbit. "I'm on my way to Grandma's house with some cakes and soup, and I saw a big bad wolf, but I yelled and ran away," gabbled Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh dear, how awful," said Rabbit. "Why don't you pick some flowers for your dear grandma? Then I'll come with you to keep you safe." "Oh, thank you," said Little Red Riding Hood. "That would be lovely." While Little Red Riding Hood picked flowers, she told Rabbit all about her grandma. "She's very old and she still lives all by herself. Mum says it's not safe for her to be all alone, especially when she's got so much jewelry. I can't wait to meet her," said Rabbit. Meanwhile, the wolf arrived, huffing and puffing at Grandma's cottage. Knock, knock. He knocked on the door, then went inside. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage, she found someone snuggled up in Grandma's bed wearing a nightie and cap. "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Well, they must work better than yours," replied the wolf. "I'm not your grandma." "Eek! It's the wolf!" shrieked Little Red Riding Hood. "He's eaten your grandma!" yelled Rabbit. "Oh no, Grandma!" wailed Little Red Riding Hood. "Yes, dear," replied Grandma, walking into the room carrying a tea tray. "What on earth is the matter?" "Oh, I thought this big bad wolf had eaten you," cried Little Red Riding Hood. "I didn't," croaked the wolf. "He was about to," cried Rabbit, moving towards the door. But just then, crash! A policeman burst in. "Thank goodness you're here," cried Little Red Riding Hood. "Arrest him!" "I will," said the policeman, and he grabbed the rabbit by the ears. "Will someone please tell me what is going on here?" shouted Little Red Riding Hood. So Grandma told her, Mr. Wolf is a friend of mine. He came to warn me that you were all alone in the woods and that you were talking to strangers, so we called the police. Mr. Wolf looked poorly when he got here, so I made him put on something warm and get into bed. Then I made some tea. So that's why you're wearing Grandma's nightie and cap, said Little Red Riding Hood. Yes, replied Mr. Wolf. I might look silly, but I'm lovely and warm. Even though you yelled and ran away, you told me where you were going, and you spoke to Rabbit. But you didn't know him either, said Mr. Wolf. But he's really nice, argued Little Red Riding Hood. No, he isn't, said the policeman. This is the famous bunny burglar. We've been after him for ages. The policeman tipped Rabbit's bag upside down, and out fell Little Red Riding Hood's cupcakes, the soup, the grandma's jewelries, and many things that they'd never seen before. The policeman led Rabbit away. I was so sure Rabbit was good and Wolf was bad, sighed Little Red Riding Hood. You can't always tell who's bad and who's good. Mr. Wolf is lovely, and now you know him, he's not a stranger, said Grandma. Little Red Riding Hood looked over at Mr. Wolf, who was sitting in bed, drinking tea and still wearing Grandma's nightie and cap. Well, he might not be a stranger, giggled Little Red Riding Hood, but he definitely looks strange. The end. I hope you've enjoyed the story. For more exciting stories, please remember to like and subscribe at the Storyteller channel. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to the Storyteller channel. In today's story time, I will be reading you a book called Peppa's Fairy Tale. I hope you enjoy the story. Peppa's Fairy Tale. Once upon a time, Peppa and George were looking at storybooks together. This one has 3 bears, porridge and a hungry wolf looking for an old lady to eat, said Peppa. George looked worried. Don't worry, George, added Peppa. There's always a happy ending, Peppa sighed. I wish we lived in a fairy story. Peppa, George, called Mummy Pig. It's time to go to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house for lunch. We're going to walk there through the woods. But we want to go on a magical fairy tale adventure, said Peppa. Maybe if we look hard enough, we might see some magical things on the way, said Daddy Pig. This doesn't feel like a magical fairy tale place, said Peppa, as they walked through the woods. It feels a bit magical to me, said Daddy Pig, looking at the trees around them. Yes, agreed Mummy Pig. This is like the path in Little Red Riding Hood. I wouldn't be surprised if we bumped into the big bad wolf, said Daddy Pig. Ho ho ho! Just then, Daddy Pig bumped straight into Mr. Wolf. Oh, hello, Mr. Wolf, said Daddy Pig. How are you? Very well, replied Mr. Wolf. I'm just a bit hungry. I'm going to my granny's house for lunch, said Peppa. Are you really? asked Mr. Wolf. Well, I'll catch you later then. Bye. That was just like Little Red Riding Hood, gasped Peppa, meeting Mr. Wolf in the woods. I'm not sure which way to go now, mumbled Daddy Pig. There's a little cottage over there, said Peppa. Maybe someone inside will know the way. Peppa and her family walked through a rose garden and up to the cottage. Hello, called Daddy Pig, knocking on the door.
As Daddy Pig knocked, the door opened all by itself. Is there anybody home? Asked Mummy Pig, wondering who would live in a cottage in the middle of the woods. Inside the cottage, there were 3 chairs and 3 bowls of porridge. That porridge looks delicious, said Daddy Pig. I wonder whose it is. Hello, Peppa, cried Belinda Bear, spotting her friend. Hello, Belinda, said Peppa. Oh, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Bear, said Mummy Pig. Sorry to trouble you, but the door just opened, so we came inside. That's quite all right, said Mrs. Bear. It's lovely to see you all. Are you going to stay for lunch, Peppa? Asked Belinda. We're having porridge and it's not too hot, not too cold, but just right, finished Peppa. Hee hee hee, Belinda and Peppa laughed together. We're actually on our way to have lunch at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house, said Mummy Pig, but we got a bit lost. Can you point us in the right direction, please? Mrs. Bear pointed the way, and Peppa and her family set off again. Wow, said Peppa. That was just like Goldilocks and the 3 bears. With a little cottage and 3 chairs, said Daddy Pig, and 3 bowls of delicious porridge, I may have just a little spoonful. Daddy! Hee hee hee, Peppa giggled. It's like we are in a fairy tale. Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig followed the path through the woods to the bottom of a hill. I think I need more porridge to get up this hill, puffed Daddy Pig. Don't worry, Daddy, said Peppa. We're going to have lunch soon. When they arrived at the house on top of the hill, Peppa knocked on the door. Granny, we're here. Everyone was very surprised when the door was opened by Mr. Wolf. Oh, they all gasped. Oh, hello, said Mr. Wolf. Mr. Wolf, said Peppa, why are you here? I'm just round for something to eat, replied Mr. Wolf. Granny Pig has made a lovely lunch. Granny Pig poked her head around the door. Hello, everyone, she said. Oh, hello, Granny, said Peppa, a little relieved. We're very hungry after all our walking. Don't worry, Peppa, said Granny Pig. Lunch is ready now. When Peppa stepped inside, she saw Wendy Wolf was there too. Hello, Peppa, said Wendy. What have you been doing today? Hello, Wendy, replied Peppa. We've been having a magical adventure in the fairy tale woods. Oh, gasped Wendy. Everyone sat down to eat Granny Pig's delicious lunch. Why was it a magical adventure? Asked Wendy. It was just like Goldilocks and the 3 bears and Little Red Riding Hood, said Peppa. Wow, gasped Wendy. I love fairy stories. Everyone loved fairy stories. Yum yum, said Mr. Wolf, tucking in. Everyone loved Granny Pig's lunch. Especially hungry Mr. Wolf. That's the end of the story. Thank you so much for watching. For more exciting stories, please remember to like and subscribe at the Storyteller channel. Bye for now.